What's up, everybody? It's your boy Smooth, and you watching Off the Rack, the show where we tap in with all the real tastemakers behind the DMV's fashion and culture. Today, I pulled up to Washington, D.C., right here on 18th Street, to check out the spot that's become a DMV time capsule for style and vintage culture. Welcome to Metro Club Vintage. Let's get into it. All right, everybody, we got the man of the hour here, the one and only owner to Metro Club Vintage. You can find him on IG, all the social media platforms at Metro Club Vintage. Omar, good sir, how you doing?
All right, good. How are you, man?
I'm doing good, man. So we just gonna jump right into the interview. So every great vintage store has a story. What's the origin behind Metro Club Vintage, and why did you ultimately decide to base it in DC?
Well, the origin for Metro Club Vintage, I started off with Metro Club merch. Metro Club was a spot, me growing up in DC was like a gathering spot, you could say, where, local go-go bands would perform. We were all descend on this one location called the Metro Club from different hoods, different neighborhoods.
Yeah.
And it was like our little melting pot, you could say, for go-go live performances. So, I took that, and that location was across the street actually from the Metro Club. The Metro parking lot where the Metro buses parked at night.
Okay, yeah.
So I don't even believe the name of the club was Metro Club, but us being from DC, we dubbed it Metro Club because it was across the street from where the buses were parked.
Yeah.
So that's the reason where, we do like the patches, the Metro patches.
Yeah.
So it's like, paying homage to the Metro bus drivers. That's how we got around in our city, and also, our culture, what I'm saying, and having go-go in our culture.
Yeah. So DC has a lot of history. What parts of growing up or being around influenced the way of how you approach vintage fashion?
I would say, me growing up, we were always down with the brands. Nike, when I was young, I'm a little older.
Yeah.
Nike was still fresh. So having a pair of Nikes and, the brands, the Levi's, the Izod, all of that was like my era. So bringing Metro Club Vintage to DC was more so just me still admiring those pieces that I had growing up, and, wanting to see, did they still have that cult following it had when I was young. So, my love for vintage is really my love for fashion as a kid.
When you first opened those doors, what were the vibes like? Were people instantly tapped into vintage fashion, or has it taken the city a little bit longer to catch up?
Me opening my doors here, it wasn't just about opening a vintage store. When I opened up in this location, I also had my merch, and I also was upcycling. So I would take a vintage piece and maybe tie-dye it, or, put a dye on it or embroider on it, just giving certain vintage pieces a new light. So I would say, my experience when I first opened up, I believe that people, respected how I curated the store, and also they admired the pieces that I upcycled, the pieces I threw paint on. So I would say it gave them an experience outside of just vintage, but also, having that vintage feel for a store.
So we got a chance to look around, and you got everything from old Nike to Polo to old racing jackets. What are some of the things that you look for when you're curating pieces for the store?
I just like to find unique pieces, pretty much. Something that has a story, or that you could look at it and you could see an era in it. A time where this was fashionable. So
Yeah.
I just like certain brands that came and they're not here anymore. Say Fubu. I like to find a Fubu piece, and I like academics and the '90s culture, when '90s fashion was like real big, like the Sean John. You'd be surprised how many Sean John pieces I done sold, and as soon as they come in, someone will come and snatch it up.
So it's coming up like hotcakes.
So it's coming up, rockaware, the people love the rockaware shirts, and just the baggier look now, I think, is the silhouette that, the younger generation is going for. So, and the 90s, kind of catered to that.
What's one piece or pickup that you instantly fell in love with once you found, tying back to passion, like thought and stop to yourself and be like, this is why I do what I do?
Well, once I found this cancer awareness Redskins leather jacket. It was vintage for sure. It was in good shape as well.
Pink or
It was
just
pink.
ooh,
And it was all leather, and it was kind of had a NASCAR feel to it because it had
yeah,
other like patches
patches,
on it and
yeah.
everything. When it sold, I was kind of sad. You know what I mean? I had it for probably like 3 months before someone picked up on it and snatched it up. But that gave me that drive to like find more, unique pieces. I could have maybe 10 pair of jeans, and it's just one unique pair of jeans that, I'm
Yeah.
always keeping my eye on. I'll come in the shop. If I'm not working the shop, one of my employees, I'll come in and I'm looking to see if someone, saw this pair of jeans that I feel like had a story to it.
Yeah. So you're talking about unique pieces, and that's one of the things you look for. Is there ever a point in time where you like, I want to keep this for myself? Like, you know what?
All the time.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You know what I mean? There's a lot of pieces that I still have. The thing is with me, being the owner, maybe one of the perks is I could pull a piece.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Rock it for, I take care of my clothes, so
Obviously,
it's
yeah.
not going to be stained or anything.
Yeah.
But, I take it, rock it, and, if I feel like I want to bring it back in the store, and, after I make sure it's ready to be sold,
Yeah.
I would do that. But
a couple ways.
for sure, there's a lot of pieces that I found, and not all pieces. Some pieces I exercise my discipline and I'll leave it for the customer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I feel like it's something that
Still want to give some to the people.
for sure. And I like to have pieces in here that, shows that I'm not selfish. It could be an extra large my size, but my style as well. But I still want, when people walk in, even if they don't purchase it, it's not their size, to feel like, they had an experience coming in here, even finding unique pieces like that.
How do you balance running a business and staying true to your love for the culture of vintage fashion?
I mean, but that's the thing is, having a love for it makes the business seem more of like not a task, but something that, is a fun challenge.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I'm doing something that I admire, something I love. I love fashion. So it don't seem like work to me, you know what I mean? And I have good people around me, and also I just had good mentors that showed me, how to run a business and how to go about it the right way. Make sure Uncle Sam is being paid.
Yeah.
Make sure, you're in good standing with the city, and my landlord as well, and paying rent on time, and, everything that comes with being responsible, being an adult, actually. That also ties into running a business. It's just
Taking
responsibilities,
care
your
of
bills, and making sure you're paying people what you say you're going to pay, and being a man of your word, pretty much.
What does the name Metro Club Vintage mean to you? It has sort of a nostalgic ring, and I know we talked about it a little bit earlier, but just what's the story behind it again for those that might not know?
Well, the story behind it is just basically, in a nutshell, my love and experience in DC. When I had to ride the bus, we use somewhat of a mimic a logo of the Metro bus. The drivers. I made cardigans, was kind of like the first piece that we created. That is just, the history to Metro Club is that, is the history of DC. You know what I mean? The spaces where we used to go to feel alive in DC, to see our live favorite go-go band. So I just wanted to take that and share it, with I would say, the people who move from other states here. Let's say that.
And that ties into my next question. So a lot of people collect vintage, but not a lot of people build a community. How do you feel like Metro Club has done that?
I would say I'm still doing it. So, I can't really fully answer that yet, but the location I decided to put my store in builds a community around here. And, I would say that people who purchase our merch, what I mean, is part of my community. You know what I mean? I brand my merch in a certain way where, it's like I'm sharing if you have a nice shirt on, you're going to share where you got that from without someone having to ask you. That's why we put, Metro Club Vintage, our logo, address.
They don't even need to ask. They can just see you walk past.
It's like some people nowadays they don't like to be spoken to or speak to other people. You know, there's no offense. It's their life and how they want to live it. So instead of someone having to go out their way and ask about a certain shirt they like that comes from my shop, that's our merch, you know, you're going to know where it comes from.
So the DMV has always had a unique style, from New Balances to Helly Hansen. How do you see vintage tying into what we would call, you know, the DMV's identity?
Actually, I don't see that being a tie-in. You know what I mean? When you shop vintage, you shop in your unique style. There's no one style that you could put on vintage, or, you know, one type of style that you could put on vintage shopping. You know, it's totally different than what DC style is, and I think that's what makes vintage shopping unique. You don't know what you're gonna get when you're shopping at a vintage store. You know what I mean? It's
You don't have no set plan.
you had
just
no
go
set
in,
plan. You
vibe.
come in, you think you're gonna buy some shorts, but you leave out with a leather vintage vest. You know what I mean? It's just how it works, and I think that's the exciting part for a lot of people. Even if they don't have intentions on spending, just to come in and see what vintage looks like from my perspective.
Yeah. There's something we talked earlier, and you said, you know, you spoke about the 90s era fashion. So there's a reason. Why do you feel like there's a reason why 90s fashion is kind of coming back?
It's the silhouette, I believe. You know, people want to dress more comfortably, and you'd be surprised the things we go to as a nation, you know, say COVID, you know, changed a lot of people's style. You know, they wanted to be more comfortable in their style. So I would say you can't really be too comfortable in skinny jeans like that. You know, and I'm not down in skinny jeans, and slim fit jeans is still a thing, but I think that after that era that we went through with COVID, people wanted to be more comfortable, and the baggier silhouettes from the 90s caters to that look, caters to that comfortability, you know, where you kind of, you know, and denim is already not as popular as it used to be. So to have a pair of denim, you would want it to be something comfortable. That's my take on it. You know what I mean? I think people want to be comfortable in baggy. It's more comfortable in baggy is the 90s era.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When people walk in here, what do you want them to feel outside of the shopping experience?
Outside of the shopping experience, that they had an experience, you know, that you came in and the music kind of matched what you saw on the screen. I'm always playing something nostalgic, something vintage on, you know, the TV. So it's like having more of an experience, not beyond the clothes, you know what I mean? And it just feeling like, you know, that was an experience more so is what I appreciate. That, you know, that's been my experience when people do come in. Even, like I say, the ones who don't spend anything, they always compliment the curation and that this is a good experience. It's a good vibe and energy in here.
So obviously you have your own clothing, you have your own brand, but in the new age, we're all about collaborations. Is there any DMV any artists in the fashion? Is there anybody that you could think of that'd be like, you know what, if I had to collab with them and kind of show what Metro Club Vintage is about, how represented, who would you want to collab with if there was anybody?
The thing is, I'm already doing that. You know, maybe like the jackets you see. You know, what I mean, those are artists that I collab with.
Yeah.
The paintings on the wall are artists I collab with. So, you know, I wouldn't pinpoint one person. I would say any artist that is true to their craft and, you know, is interested in reaching out and doing a collab. You know what I mean? My title of my shop is called Metro Club Vintage, but it's also clothing art. You'll see that. You know what I mean? So I infuse clothing art and I sell clothing art. So it's not just saying that we have art and we have clothes. We put art and clothes together. So I'm already collabing with a lot of artists in the DMV area. You know what I mean? And I'm gonna continue to do so. A lot of artists. So yeah.
Looking ahead, where do you want to take Metro Club Vintage? More pop-ups, another, you know, expansion, maybe another store in another location? What's the future hold for you?
I mean, I want to just continue to create pieces that people can appreciate, unique pieces. I try not to like bring a piece back after I produce it.
Not even if it was high, you don't want to bring it back for those that might have missed it, or
Nah, I mean, if I do, it's a different colorway. It's not the same colorway, but
Gotcha.
I try to stay away from bringing something back. So you know, the people who did and were able to get those pieces before they sold out can feel like they purchased something in an era and time where that piece was in my shop. You know what I mean? Like this is this collection from, you know, and I don't do collections, but more so I look at it as times in my life and growth of Metro Club Vintage when I drop certain pieces. So if I see someone with a cardigan, like I said, I drop those first. It'll be like, yo, that's a piece, and I wouldn't bring it back, especially in that colorway.
yeah. Okay, so the last segment that we have is called Smooth or Not. I'm gonna list a couple of fashion pieces, trends, and all that. I try to stay towards, you know, the vintage style, but just to get your opinion, smooth or not, and just kind of explain why you feel like, you know, it is or it's not. So the first one is Pelly Pelly, the leather jackets.
Smooth,
Smooth, okay. Helly Hansen windbreakers.
not.
Nah. Vintage polo tracksuits.
That's smooth.
The New Balances, the 990s to be exact.
For sure, smooth.
Thrifted NASCAR jackets.
Smooth.
Oversized graphic tees from old concerts and tours.
Smooth.
Baggy denim plus the Tim boot combo.
That's smooth.
And then the throwback Georgia Hoyers hat or Bullets gear.
Always smooth.
Always smooth. Gotta stay to hometown.
For sure. And just to add to the smoothness and the not smooth, it's all in how you rocking it, and you know, it's not on you, it's in you. You know what I mean? People say I couldn't see myself in this. You know what I mean? It's just the confidence. You put it on, you own it. It looks better when you own it, and then when you're insecure about it. So it's just, you know, fashion is in you. It's not something that you can wake up and say, let me just do this. A lot of people dress like mannequins, you know. They go to the Saks, they look at the mannequin, and they ask for that.
No personality, no
You know,
additional touch to
For
it.
sure. Some people who really are into fashion will have a thrifted vest on with, you know, $1,000 pair of sweatpants and, you know, old vintage t-shirt, you know what I mean? And make it look like something. You know what I mean? It's just what you're going for.
And one last question. So we talked about earlier in terms of you saying that, you know, sometimes you just have to try things and it's all about, you know, your expression. How do you know when to take a risk and when it comes to fashion?
If you think you're taking a risk, I would say you're not into it. You know what I mean? What's considered taking a risk if it's your style? I wouldn't want to step out thinking I took a risk with the outfit I have on. You know what I mean? I want to know for sure, like I'm confident with this. Like I mentioned, confidence shows. You know what I mean? And if you're owning what you have on, it makes it look better. You know what I mean? Than you being insecure and in a corner with it, and you know, not really out there with your attitude towards, you know, where you're at and what you're wearing. You know, you have to own it. So risk to me, you know, if you're taking a risk, then I think you should be taking that risk. If you feel like you're taking a risk, I think maybe just jump into what's comfortable for you. I have friends who would never put a suit on, who would come to your, you know, black tie event with sweats on. I wouldn't say Nike Tech. They're going to have something on, but it's not going to be the traditional look.
Yeah.
But you're going to appreciate it, you know what I mean? Because it's how they own it and the fact that they're there, and, you know, that's what makes you feel like, all right, they're owning who they are and owning what they're wearing, even though they standing out like a sore thumb. You know, they gonna make you feel like, oh shit, he belongs here.
Well, that's all we got today. So, Omar, good sir, thank you for taking the time to talk to us and, you know, get inside of the store, you know, the inspiration behind it, and, you know, just speak on your brand a little bit. So
appreciate you, bro, and good luck to everything you guys are doing.
Appreciate it. That's a wrap on Metro Club Vintage. Shout out Omar for taking the time to talk to us. If you ever on 18th Street, make sure to check him out. This has been Off the Rack. I'm Smooth, and until next time, stay smooth.